Hello there. So if you're watching this video, then congratulations for making it this far. My name is Yusuf, and I want to thank you for being here. I run Clarity Conveyed, which is a marketing and consulting agency, and we help wellness brands that are online and in person, like such as clinics, to help them scale their revenue by helping them to sign on more clients. And we also help them to retain more clients. And we do this by using a simple three-step process. And in this video today, I want to break down a guide that I made that we use to actually help our clients to reach the $30,000 per month mark and beyond. So, if you're interested in learning kind of where the bottleneck is in your business, what can I do to kind of really create the high leverage actions that are going to move the needle forward, then this video is for you. If you have any questions, then just leave them in the comments, or you can shoot me a message on Instagram, or if you would love to speak on a call, my link is in the description below. So without any further ado, let me share my screen, let me walk you through this, and let's figure out what the bottleneck is so that we can really move forward with you and your business. So let's get into it. So welcome to a guide on how to make $30,000 a month without burning out. I am not an aesthetic guy, but I do know a thing or two about marketing. So this guide is packed with information here. I'm really excited to walk you guys through it. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know. If you do want to grab the guide, it will also be available in the description as well. So let's get into it, man. So first of all, congratulations for being here, to take your business to the point where it goes from an idea to a product to an offer to an actual business is no small feat. And especially if you've been around for more than a year, most businesses close after a year. So this is something to definitely give yourself props for. However, it may feel kind of frustrating though. It's kind of difficult for you to celebrate because you feel like you're stuck, right? And after speaking with countless business owners, the big thing that I'm seeing why people are stuck, the big reason why, is because they're wearing all of the hats. You're wearing the hat of marketing, of fulfillment, of advertising, of sales, and you might not even be wearing the content hat, even though you know you should be. And that's a problem, right? Because what happens is when you start to open up your own business, you are responsible for every single thing because no one can hold the vision the way that you can. But then what starts to happen is as you start to get traction, right, you naturally start to pour into other buckets of business that require more of you. And what happens as a result of that is that you're leaving certain things behind that are really, really important. So what we notice is that actually the biggest bottleneck when it comes to scaling your own business is actually you. If you're doing every single thing yourself, not utilizing the help of another agency or another person, another potential hire, or even AI, you're really, really, really you're not giving yourself a fighting chance. So let's break down why this happens and let's break down how we can fix that. Okay. So the same idea that inspired you to start also kind of made you become a full-time creator, a sales rep, a business strategist, on top of being a coach or on top of being a practitioner. And the breaking news is that the reality where you make the money that you want to make and work with your dream clients, it's still approachable, it's still alive, but it's going to require some shifts. Okay, here's the important thing that I want to get through to this guide. Okay, is that there's a lot of information in here, and information there's an abundance of it online. Okay, you swipe away from this video, or even on the sidebar, you're going to see 10, 20 videos that you can click on that are all going to promise you the same thing. The important thing here is that you actually execute on the information. Okay, always remember this in business, speculation is worth nothing and data-driven action is worth something. Now, you can think your way to the finish line, or so you think, but the only thing that will actually get you there is the step and the step and the step and the step that you take. So, don't save this into your saved folder. Actually go through this and actually use it. So, let's get into it. All right? These are the 3 steps that we use in order to help clients go from, typically the 8 to 10K range to the 30K plus range. Okay. So in the first phase, right, we like to work in 3 phases. We focus on building the right structure. So we're going to focus on nailing your offer, nailing your content, and then also nailing your marketing. Okay. And we take kind of like a Russian doll approach to doing this so that way it's very intuitive, like one step builds on the next. In the second phase, we want to dial in consistency in your authority, and we're going to focus on creating content. Okay, content is the big word within the second phase. Okay, we're going to create content which is going to attract and engage your ideal clients. And then in the third phase, that's where we're going to scale sustainably through paid advertisements. Okay, So we like to use paid advertisements once we know that something has worked organically. This is the best practice that I would definitely say, because your your offer has been validated in the market, and then also you have money that has came in from the validated offer, so now you're not just spending money out of your pocket. Okay? It's money you already made. So let's talk about phase one, which is the foundation, nailing your offer, your content, and your marketing. This is a simple 3-step approach that we take right here. Step one is having an offer that's valuable and viable. I'm going to get into that. Step two is having a content strategy that you can sustain. And step three is having a market plan that supports both the offer and the content. Okay, I want you for a moment to just forget what everybody is telling you and really listen to your intuition, listen to your body. Okay, and there's a reason why I'm saying this. It's because it has a wisdom that all these gurus are not helping you to tap into. A part of you knows what you can create, a part of you knows what you want, a part of you knows what your capacity is. And when you ignore those things and you go for what everybody else is saying, you make it really difficult for you to sustain the success that you want. Okay? So let's get into the first part, which is creating an offer that's valuable and viable. Okay? So valuable and valuable offers are something that we really don't talk about. Okay? So if you want to make, for example, $10,000 a month, okay, or let's say $30,000 a month, you have to ask yourself, is that something that matches, is the offer that I have right now matching the amount of work that that would take? The reason why that's important is because a lot of us are setting goals arbitrarily and we're not recognizing how much work it takes to go after them. Okay? So, making sure that your offer is both valuable and viable. Valuable meaning give the ideal client profile what they're looking for, and viable meaning that it matches my nervous system capacity, it matches the amount of money that I want to make, right? When you have an offer which, comprises of those two V's, you now have something that you can actually use to hit those desired revenue months, okay? On top of that, you want to also make sure that your offer is irresistible. In the simple words of Alex Hormozy, he says, um, you want to you want someone to feel like an idiot saying no to your offer. Okay? So if you're struggling to do that, all right, the way that you can go about doing this is by following this 8-part framework right here. Okay? Now, if I were you, I would pause this on the screen and actually answer these questions individually. If you don't want to go ahead and use a pen and paper, then what you can do is get access to Cleo, who is our custom-built GPT that we use to help wellness businesses to create offers that are both valuable and viable, all centered around the money that they want to make, the amount that they want to work, and who they want to work with. All right? So I'll leave a link to Cleo in the description below. All right? In part 2 of phase 1, it's all about creating content that you love to create. Okay? A simple perspective that you can consider in this process is that the most effective content strategy is the one that feels right for you to create. See, when your content is authentic and it's not buried beyond, all these endless tactics pushed by Instagram gurus, right? It actually starts to resonate because human beings are emotional beings. And when you create from an emotional place of, you know what? Like, this is an experience that I'm genuinely having, or this is like a wisdom that I want to share with people who I know in my audience would actually kind of resonate with, then you actually start to like pierce the veil. And that's what create content which actually converts. Okay? So the simple kind of process that you can use to create content is like a 4-pronged approach. We've seen this work really well. There's other approaches too that I'll talk later on about, but this is one that you could just kind of take and get started with. So first you want to start by showing, then you want to teach, then you want to share, and then you want to give. So showing simply means like to highlight your success. You want to show people that you actually are, a master at what you do. Building authority is really important if you're going to want people to pay you for your authority, okay, for your service. The second thing is you want to teach. So sharing actionable tips and insights is really important because if you're showing, you're nailing down one part of the trust equation. But if you're teaching, now they're looking at you as like an authority that they can trust. Okay? Next, you want to share. This is easily the most, underutilized aspect. So sharing is really, really underutilized because a lot of people are thinking that business is a game of numbers, which it is. But if you want to build a brand, which is something which connects with people, it's a people's game. So the way that you go about building the connection with the people that you have in your audience is by sharing personal stories that familiarize you and the audience together. Okay? And the last piece, which is really important that a lot of people also are not doing enough, is giving. Giving a clear cut call to action that makes somebody easily utilize your services. This is very important, especially if you want to make money with your business. All right. Now let's talk about the third part of the first phase. I know this is a little long, but this is important because this is what's going to set the foundation for the work forward. Next is marketing your amazing offer and the content that you love. So this is the whole Russian doll approach that I was talking about, where you want to have your offer first. This is your core pillar, right? This is how we service the world. Next, you need to have content which supports the offer, okay? And then lastly, you want to have marketing that supports the content. If you follow this approach, you will convert clients without a doubt, okay? So your content itself should reflect what your ideal clients are struggling with, call out the transformation that they want, and position you as the go-to expert, and also share the stories that make you relatable, like we talked about in the last slide. Your marketing plan should ensure that your content is actually seen. So you can do this in a mixture of ways, and I'll have future trainings about this. Funnel people towards the offer, and then ultimately convert your leads into clients. Okay, so let's move on to phase 2. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below, and I'll definitely get back to you. In phase 2, we're focusing on conscious content. Simply put, we now know who we want to serve and how we want to serve them into the first phase. Next, it's creating the content that, builds the connection with the audience, okay? So we're going to attract and engage your ideal clients through the content that you love to make. So this is you right here, and this is your funnel, okay? And with you continuously putting up shots on the board, you give yourself the best chance of actually converting. All right? So here's something that we should start with. The reason why your content isn't converting right now is because you're probably selling what you think that they want, but not what they actually need. This is huge. This is so big, right? It's like you're out of touch with their experience because you think you know them, but you don't actually know them until you collect data from people, right? So all of your previous clients that you've signed or that you're working with right now, right? What is it that they actually needed when they got your service, right? What are the questions that they wanted to have answered, right? What's the first thing that they used when they started working with you? All important things to be considering. The second reason why your content isn't converting is because you're speaking to them in a language that they don't understand, right? Don't fall into the trap of knowing so much about your niche that you become unrelatable. This is huge. It's like the college professor who used to struggle with calculus, but now because he's a professor, he doesn't understand why students struggle. You need to prioritize the language that they use in their minds and use that language to then teach them the concepts that will then make them clients. It's a big jump, but like business isn't for people who are just robots. Business is for those who can think and for those who know how to package what they think into a solution that someone can easily understand and purchase. In the second part, we want to really focus on speaking their language, okay? So these are some good questions that you can ask yourself in order to really get a more, practical grasp on this. So for example, what's your ideal client struggling with right now? What language do they use to describe their problems? What phrases are constantly circulating in their mind? What do they believe about the world? What would my solution do for them? And what solutions are they actively searching for? Okay. A pro tip here is that your ideal client actually probably was who you used to be, right? Before you used your own method, which helped you to get the results that you want. So it's important for you to actually kind of think about who you were in the past, because it's likely that you're serving that person now. Okay? This part right here, we don't talk about enough, and that is to go fishing. Okay? A lot of people don't recognize that your Instagram stories are actually temp checking the audience to drive traffic to the offer. So there's 4 different types of sequences that you can use in order to really get people to know who's interested, right? So first you temp check, right, using these 4 different story sequences, and then you convert them by using a stories to sales framework. So if you are interested in that, just comment stories to sales and I'll send that your way. But the four different sequences here, their goal is to really, see who's interested in the audience, build the authority, right? And then ultimately funnel them towards something. Okay? So the first sequence that we have is the insightful sequence. So give your audience a unique perspective to consider. So debunk a commonly accepted trope, and then you can just call people to action. I'll give you guys examples on how to use these specifically. The next part is the questionnaire sequence. So drive engagement to your Instagram and get a feel for what your audience is struggling with. So ask them a whole bunch of questions one after another. And then that way you can really kind of understand what they're struggling with or what you can target within your next piece of content. Next is a testimonial sequence. This is what helps to develop trust and build yourself as the authority while you're calling people to your services. And lastly, it's a spear story. And this is being really upfront. Hey, I'm looking for 3 working professionals who want to lose 10 to 15 pounds of body fat within the next 90 days. Boom. Okay? These right here are examples of an insightful sequence. This is an example of a testimonial sequence. So you start by asking a question that gets somebody to think. Remember, guys, everybody is shoving information down everyone's throat. We want to be the one that makes their intuition turn on, and we want to position you as the bridge between their curiosity and between the desire that they want, the outcome that they want. So go and pause this part right here. Take a look at these stories and think about how you could apply something like this within your own niche. Okay? And the third phase, and the final phase, we amplify with paid ads. Now, the example here that we're using is we have a fire which is small and it's kindling, right? But with this fire that we already have, we're clearly getting warmth from it. We're getting some results. But now we can amplify these results that we're getting by utilizing paid ads. Always think of paid ads like an amplifier, okay? Anybody who thinks of paid ads like a silver bullet is just going to be, unfortunately, not very happy. They support what's already working. They're not a crutch for a broken offer or weak content. So if you're getting leads organically, then ads are going to pour fuel on the fire. Okay? Remember, guys, ads are not a silver bullet for your business. Be sure that your offer and your content are complementing each other already. And another thing, a mentality that you should use whenever you're going into spending paid ads, be willing to lose any money. Be willing to lose money before you're making any. This is huge because a lot of people are really delusional. Like when it comes to oh, I'm gonna go on Facebook Market. I'm gonna go on the ads manager and I'm gonna spend money and boom, I'm just gonna make a shit ton of money back. It doesn't work like that. Okay, and if you think like that, you're gonna get something called marketing fatigue. You're gonna be tapped out before you actually are allowing the results of your funnel to actually show. All right. In the second part of the third phase, we drive traffic to a proven offer. Okay. And the way that we do this is there's a couple of different funnels that you can utilize. There's the social growth funnel. There's, a lead form funnel. There's a VSL funnel. There's a million and one ways up the mountain. This way I've seen is something that has worked for my clients, something that has worked for myself, something that's worked for my mentors. Okay. I'll make videos in the future talking about the other types of funnels as well. However, simply put, the way that this funnel works is we're driving people towards your page. Okay, we're sending your advertisements towards a cold audience, and we're seeing who interacts with the content best. We're funneling them towards your page, and then on your page, with your content, which is priming your audience to eventually book a call with you, people will then book a call, and then ultimately they'll sign. There are other parts of the funnel too, like there's a middle funnel where you're basically retargeting people. Some key things to be on the lookout, okay, when you are running your ads, all right? There are important numbers and terms that you should constantly have in the back of your mind, okay? These are going to be your CTR. This right here is the amount or the percentage of people who are clicking through to your ad to your profile. This is a good indicator that you have a great ad, okay? Your cost per click, so it's the amount that you're spending per profile visit, okay? This is kind of like paying for a lead. Like how much money do I have to spend in order for someone to actually come into my page, come into my funnel? Your page is essentially the funnel. And your CPA, your cost per acquisition. So after for example, how much you spend for someone to come onto your page, and then how much you have to spend in order for someone to book in a call with you, and how many calls it takes for you to acquire a client, you now can calculate what's called your CPA, your cost per acquisition. How much does it cost for you to get a client? So if you have to spend, you know, if you spend $250 on a qualified call and it takes you 3 calls to get 1 close, then your cost per acquisition is $750. And if you have an offer, for example, for, let's just say $7,000, your cost per acquisition is really cheap relative to the amount that you earn in revenue when you sign a client. So these are some numbers that you need to keep in the back of your mind when you're running ads. This right here is an example of a client that we had last year, or we're still working with him. Micah Jones, we spent $9,500 on ads, and from those ads we generated $100,000 of revenue as a result. So this right here is a great indicator of a high ROAS, return on ad spend. So a good return on ad spend is, for example, like for every dollar you put in, your business is generating about $3 to $4. This is what creates like sustainability and scalability within business. Is that, oh, okay, I know if I put in $1,000, I'm going to get back $4,000 of revenue. So all you have to do with your system is now you have to be like, okay, if I want to make more money, I just have to put more money into the ad spend while also maintaining the other pillars that we talked about, having the strong offer and also having really good content. A really good strategy that you can go into when you're testing ads for the first time is you're going to create 2 ads, and each of these ads, right, you're going to test for a budget of about $10 to $30 a day. If you're on the lower side, if you have a little bit more money to spend, you can test it with like $50 to $100 a day. And you want to basically see which ad is bringing in the right followers onto your page. If you're getting the right targeted followers to your page, then you know that this is the ad that I'm going to then use the majority of my budget on. At any given moment, you want to always be testing an ad, and you ideally want to be having a couple of them running at the same time, a couple of them that are winners, okay? This is what creates consistent lead flow within your business. Another thing that we found that really helps out our clients a lot is actually just mapping out what the next, 3 months looks like. So what we'd love to do is actually kind of like see where the biggest bottleneck is, and then we put the different revenue points that we want to hit, the revenue milestones, and we then say, for example, okay, cool, if you want to hit 10K a month, then you're going to need to, for example, post this many times. You're going to need to, for example, have 1 ad up. You're going to need to have this much in ad spend. You're going to need to, make this many offers a week, etc. So having these different markers are really helpful for the clients that we work with, and even for you too. So that way okay, cool, if I have these things done, then like business should look like this. Obviously there's a margin for error, but this is the kind of stuff that like gives you the confidence to keep taking the steps forward. So long story short, because you're already 23 minutes into this video, what do you do from here? Number 1, revisit your offer. If it's not strong enough, if it's not simple enough for you to recite it back like in a 6th grade reading level language, then it's likely that your offer probably isn't as clear as you think it is, okay? If it's not scalable, then you need to fix it. Use our Cleo bot in the description below to do so. Step 2, align your content and your marketing. If they don't support your offer, then simply put, you need to tweak them, okay? If you have content that you think is the one that's working, but it's not actually working, if it's not engaging the people that you want it to engage, then you need to change that. Lastly, you need to leverage your ads, okay? So if you have some organic traction that's happening, then it's time for you to start pouring some money into paid ads. And lastly, have some damn fun, dude. This is your business. Like, this is your business. So many of us are we're not recognizing how privileged we are to be doing something that we actually love from an idea that we literally had, and it's sustaining us and keeping us alive and providing for ourselves and our families. Have some fun, man. Have some fun. You deserve it. Okay? So if you've made it this far and you're interested in actually looking to learn more about what it would be like to work with me and my team, we have a guarantee where we actually help people to generate $25,000 into their business over the next 90 days, or they don't pay. So if you're interested in what that would look like for you, just be sure to book in a call below. Be sure to ask me any questions that you have, and be on the lookout for more videos in the future. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This channel right here is going to teach you everything that you need to know, as simply as you need to know it, to really run a successful wellness business, whether that's in the online space or whether you're a clinic. So let me know if you have any questions or concerns or comments. Thank you so much for being here. Peace and love, and I'll see you guys on the next one.